Okay. I think everyone can see the screen. So as we discussed earlier, today we are going to start our discussion on visual force. Okay, visual force is used for front-end designing. Okay, this is a complete front-end designing language. It's similar to HTML. Okay, so we use visual force for designing user interface. Okay, any user interface which you want to design, you can use visual force for that. Before we talk about visual force, let us also understand that we have an option of doing page layouts. We have talked about page layout, right? So some, certain things can be easily managed using a page layout. But if you are not able to manage the kind of user interface you need using a page layout, then the other option that you have is use a visual force page. All right. So that is how it is, and it's pretty similar to HTML. Okay, so that is how it is. Now, where to use visual force and where to use page layout? Gradually once you start working, you will automatically start understanding that where you can manage things with page layout and where you need a visual force page. All right. So let's get started on the visual force. So first thing that, and whatever we are going to learn in visual force is all with practical examples, and I want you to learn it that way only because that is the best way of learning a programming language. Okay, so we are not going to, definitely there are a few theoretical concepts which I want you to understand, but talking about visual force as well as Apex programming language, both of them we are going to do with a lot of examples. Okay, so we'll do examples, you will see those and you will have to understand okay, how things are working. It's not that too much of theory we keep on talking about and not, so it does not work that way. Okay. So for a visual force page, first thing that I want you to learn is how do you create a visual force page. Okay, so first thing is create a visual force page. Let's create a visual force page and then we will learn how to put components into this. I need the login ID password of one person. I think Nikhil, I have been using your login for some time. Do you mind sharing your login ID password? So anyone who shares the login ID, please tell me. Anyone who shares the login ID will have a special duty. End of every session, that person will need to copy all the code and send it to me through an email so that I can share it with everyone. So anyone who wants to volunteer, I will need one volunteer for this. You will have an advantage that all the code will be in your developer org. Okay, you will have a small activity to do every day. After the session, you have to copy the codes and share it with me. And Nikhil has shared. Okay, so I'll use Nikhil's login.
I have another idea as well. This is for the training which I created.
Okay. You have another idea as well, right? No problem.
Yeah.
But still you will have to share the codes every day after the session with me, and then I'll share it with everyone. Okay?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
You are like a class monitor now. Okay. So it's very simple to create a visual force page. So first of all, let's create a visual force page and then we will start putting components into it and we'll talk about other stuff. How do you create a visual force page? Before we create a visual force page, there is one thing that we have to do. We have to switch on the development mode. Okay, now why do we have to switch on this development mode? Because this development mode enables the visual force page editor. Okay, where you can see the code and write the code. That will get enabled only when you switch on the development mode. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You can just go to manage users, then go to users and go to any user for whom you want to switch on the development mode. Okay, right now I want to enable it for this user. Just click on edit. On the right hand side you will see something called the development mode. You see this? So go to manage users, select the user for whom you want to enable the development mode. So now this user will have the Visual Force code editor. Okay, that's it. So the development mode should be turned on. Okay, once you have turned on the
Sir,
development mode, now creating the page is very simple. Go to the URL, delete everything after salesforce.com slash. So after salesforce.com slash, you delete everything and then type apex and then give a slash and then give a page name. Correct? So what we have to do? We have to delete everything after salesforce.com slash apex slash page name. Page name can be anything. Okay. Make sure that there are no spaces in the name and no special characters. So my page name is V1 and press enter. That is how simple it is to create a page. So we are creating a new page called V1. Okay. The moment you try to create this page, it will throw you an error. What is the error? Page does not exist. Obviously it does not exist because we have not yet created it. It also gives you an option to create this page. So we'll just go ahead and click on create page V1. Correct? This is how simple it is to create a Visual Force page. Congratulations, this is your new Visual Force page. So this is your page. Right now it's blank, it does not have anything. We will put content into it. That's something which we'll do. But the page is created. Okay, and what is the name of the page? V1. Okay. Now let's understand a few things here. Page got created, so this is my actual page. Whatever content I define in the page will come here. Okay. At the bottom you have the code editor, Visual Force code editor. You see this line? You can just come and click on the page name. It will get expanded. And this is where the code is. So this is the code editor actually. This is where your entire code is. If you see, congratulations. Congratulations. This is your new page. Okay. Now, whatever you want to write here, how you save it. This is the save button. Okay, you can just save here, or you can do a Ctrl+S. Whatever you make, whatever code you change here, that gets reflected on the page. So whatever content you want to have on the page, that needs to be written here in the code editor. Right. So that is how simple it is. Okay. Now a page should always start with an Apex page component and should end with an Apex page component. Okay. So these are called components in Visual Force. In HTML, these are called tags. Okay, like this one is a tag, HTML tag H1. Okay. In Visual Force, we call them components. So how will you differentiate between an HTML tag and a Visual Force component? Simple. An HTML tag does not start with apex colon. A Visual Force component starts with an apex colon. Okay. So that is it. So for a page, it should always start with an apex page component and end with the apex page component. All right. Within that, whatever you put will be displayed on this page. You cannot have anything outside this. Okay. Now whatever you want to put, just put it within this bracket, within this boundary. Okay. Now whatever you want to put, you can put in this page. Clear? So we have learned how to create a page. Now we will talk about components and attributes. Okay. Now what is a component and what is component and what is attribute? So as we see, there is an Apex page component. Okay, so this way there are a lot of components which are available which you can use. Okay, like a page block, a section, table, form, input field, output field, button, link. So there are so many components, right? So for everything there is a component defined. Alright. So if you write this way, see there are so many action component, this, that, chart, table, data table, form, input field, output field, text area, non-text area. There are so many things available. Okay. So that's about the components. So there are a lot of components because in the page we need to put several different things, right? So because we need to put so many things in the page, we will definitely require different types of components. So when I say those, forms will be required, data tables will be required, buttons you will need, links you will need, input text you will need, output text you will need. So there are so many things which will be required. So for everything there is a component available in Visualforce. Okay? So all these are called components. So we are clear with the components. So the first or the basic component is the page component, and inside that page component you can put so many other components. What is an attribute? Every component has some attributes. So every component that you see here has got a few attributes, okay, which is connected to the component. So attribute is what? It defines the, it's a function of the component. Basically it defines, how your component would behave. Got it? Like for example, I'll give you an example of the attribute. Like this is, the page component. This entire page is visible because of the page component which we have used, right? Now you see the sidebar here. Okay. Now sidebar is an attribute of the page component. You see the header. Header is the attribute of the page component. So I may or may not display the sidebar. Okay. So you can just come to this component and you can simply say sidebar equals false. Okay. So this is an attribute. Apex page is the component and this is an attribute. Sidebar equals false or sidebar equals true, whatever that is. So sidebar is an attribute which allows you to display or not display the sidebar. If I make it sidebar equals false, see your sidebar is gone. Okay. Same way if I don't want to see the header, there is another attribute for this which says show header, make it false. No header on the page, right? So these are the attributes of the page component. So this way, whatever components we have, every component has got attributes. And the moment we get into those components, the moment we start talking about different components, we start using them, you will see that there are attributes associated to them. And why do we need those? You will also understand. Okay. So now we understand that there are components and then there are attributes. Right. Other concept that I want you to understand is markups and controllers. Okay, what is a markup? See the page. So whatever you see on the page is markup. Okay, the text that you see, the image that you see, the button that you see, the table of data, the form, the input field, everything is a markup. What is a controller? Controller is, again, as I told you earlier also, set of logics which controls the page. Okay. So if you see a text on the page or if you see some data on the page, that is markup. But there must be some logic which defines what data should be displayed on the page. Right? That is the controller. So set of logics which controls the page. What happens when you click on a button? That is controller. Button is a markup. What action will happen when you click on a button? That is the controller. Okay, so controller is set of logics. Correct. So every page ideally should have markups and controllers. Clear? In this page there is no controller defined. In this page we just have markup. See, only markup. Congratulations, this is your new page. So there is no set of logic because I am not working with any logic. I have just put static text here, which is not working with any logic or anything, right? So you can still have a page with only markup, right? But ideally you should have a page which has markup as well as controller. Okay, and there are 4 different types of controllers. I'll quickly name those and we will talk about these in details. So first is the standard controller, second is a standard list controller, third is a custom controller, and fourth is a controller extension. Like, so we have standard controller, we have standard list controller, custom controller, and controller extension. So if you do not understand what are these, no worries. These are 4 different types of controllers and we are going to do some examples of each one of them. So that is when we will discuss them in details. So there are 4 different types of controllers which can be used on a Visualforce page. So ideally every page should have some markups. So markup is something which you cannot do without, and it should have some controller as well. Controller usually controls the logic part on the page. What set of logics are working on the page? Okay, what happens, what data gets displayed, what happens when a button is clicked, what happens when the page is reloaded. So all those logics are controlled by the controller. Alright. So I think we have talked about a few things, and you guys will need to tell me if we have any questions in any one of these. Creating a page, before creating a page I asked you to switch on the development mode. So switching on the development mode is pretty easy. You just go to setup, manage users, select the user, click on edit, and check the development mode option. That's one thing. Creating the page, super simple. You just come to the URL, delete everything after salesforce.com/, type apex/, give the page name. Page name can be anything. Make sure it does not have a space or special character. So that's the second part. That is also done. Number 3. Third good thing is, the third thing that we talked about is components and attributes. So our page gets created here. Then once we have created the page, we start talking about the components. So there is a page component that we see here. So we talk about components and attributes. So whatever you want on the page comes into the page as a component. So there are a lot of Visualforce components which we will be using. Component examples are forms, buttons, tables, rows, columns, things like this. Okay. So whatever I want to display on the page or I want to use on the page, everything comes as a component. Every component has certain attributes. Okay. Then we talk about markups and controllers. So markup is usually what you see on the page. It can be text, image, link, hyperlink, table of data. Controller is the set of controlling logics which controls what comes on the page. Okay. So what data will be displayed, what will happen when a button is clicked, and everything. Alright. So that's about our markups and controllers. So now let's get started with the first type of controller, which is a standard controller. I'm hoping everyone is clear on this and we do not have a question here. If we do have a question, please let me know. Where is my page? Yes, here it is. If you have a question, please let me know. We are all okay on this? Fine. So now we would start talking about the controllers. Okay, let's get controller. So controller is very important when you start, when you want to connect your page with the data. At this point of time, Do you see any data on the page? No. This is just an interface, okay? But you have to connect this with the backend database. Then only it makes sense, right? A Visual Force page is useful only if I can display some data from my database on the page. Why would I want to create a static page like this on Visual Force? When I'm talking about a page on Salesforce, it has to be there for displaying some data or the other on the page, right? So that is what we have here. So for that thing, to connect your page to the backend database, you need a controller. All right. So we'll start using a controller. We'll start with a basic controller, which is the standard controller, the first type of controller. Okay. What is a standard controller? What does the name standard suggest? We have talked about so many standard things, standard object, standard field. So ideally, what should be a standard controller?
Already existing.
Correct. So what is a controller? What did we say? What's a controller?
Already existing.
No, that's standard. But what is a controller?
Something that controls the database.
Okay. Or in other words, set of logics. Okay.
Yeah.
Set of logics, and standard is something which is already existing. So if you combine these two things, what do we come to? We come to a point that a standard controller means existing set of logics. Standard means something which is already existing. Controller here means set of logics. So standard controller refers to existing set of logics. Now, where are these logics existing? We have existing objects, we have standard objects, and we have custom objects also. So whatever objects we have been dealing with so far, they have their pages. For example, you are dealing with account object. So for account, we have pages also, detail page of account and all, right? So when the pages are there and when those pages are connected to the backend database, which means there must be some existing controllers also by default, which are there from Salesforce, designed by Salesforce.com itself. Because we have already seen that on our application, we have pages for each object that we have. Every object has a page in the front end which we see and which is connected to the backend database. So they also must have defined some controllers, right? So for every object, standard or custom, there already is a set of logic or a controller which is defined. Okay, standard controller is what that is called. Clear? So it can be any standard object, custom object, because we have seen that for any standard or custom object we have pages, and these pages are connected to the backend database, which makes it quite obvious that Salesforce has predefined controllers for every object, right? These are called standard controllers. Okay, so a standard controller is a standard set of logic which is already existing. So we can use this standard set of logics. Advantage, we don't have to do much of we don't have to put much of effort in the writing the logics and stuff. We can use the standard set of logic. So the advantage is you don't have to write the logic on your own. Disadvantage, you will just be restricted to the standard set of logics. You cannot have your own logics. You will have to be working with the logics which are defined by Salesforce. Okay, so one advantage, one disadvantage. Advantage is you can easily use it, ready-made thing. Disadvantage is that it will just have predefined logics and you cannot put your own logics here. Okay, so we'll start with the standard controller. So and one small thing which a controller needs to be defined as an attribute of a page component. Okay, so this controller needs to be defined as a uh, as an attribute of the page. Okay, so this needs to be defined here. Okay, controller is an attribute of the page, so we should define it at the page level itself, right? That what is the set of logics which will control this page. So because we are talking about standard controller, you just have to say standard controller equals, and then you can call any of the standard controllers. Okay, like account. So account is the standard controller which will connect this page to which object. If I say standard controller equal account, then which controller is it going to use?
Account tab in the standard
Account object, not tab, account object.
yeah, account tab.
Yeah. So as I told you, every standard or custom object has their own controller. So the moment you say standard controller equals account, it gets connected to the account object with a standard set of logic. So you don't have to write anything. You don't have to write or define your set of logics. You just have to do this connection, and it gets connected to the account object. As simple as that. Right? Now you can use this page to display data from account object. How will you display data? Simple account dot name. So syntax is object. Sorry, what is that?
Repeat that. What are you displaying?
Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, we understand what this controller has done, right? This has done a connection between the page and the object. Now I'm trying to display the account name. So now because there is a connection between the object and the page, you can bring in data from that page on this, data from the object on the page. Got it?
Yeah.
So you can say, now this is the syntax. Object name dot field name. So object name is account, field name is name. So this is how we go. Okay. I try to display the account name and account type here. Does it show me anything? Do we see any account name, or do you see the data here?
No, sir, I can't. I mean, we can't. I mean, I couldn't.
You also cannot, and no one else can. Now, who will tell me the reason for that? It does not have an error. I try to display the account name here. It's connected to the database. What is the problem? What may be the reason? Why is it not showing me any data here?
Probably component is missing,
No component.
or to display the page.
The page component is there.
Okay.
But the tab is not enabled for the...
No problem with the tab. This is a Visual Force page independent of tab.
You didn't give any data, right?
Data it should take from the database table, na? Then the connection from the database table.
There might be no names for that account.
For which account?
Yeah. You need to define the account, user account.
See, if you are, if I tell you this thing, I mean, if you are the Visual Force page, if I say standard controller equal account, so here what I am doing, we are connecting the page with the table, okay, and then I say show me account name. So what will be your question? What will be your next question?
So basically, because we are not actually connected to any particular application, because there may be multiple accounts, like there may be an account in a recruiting manager, there may be an account in sales application, standard application and all.
Yeah, so your question is half correct, half not correct. So basically, because we have not defined the account, that is correct. It has got nothing to do with the application part. It is in generic. See, there can be 1000 accounts or there can be 10,000 accounts. Have you defined which account we are talking about?
No.
Got it. So if if you are the Visual Force page, I tell you, tell me the account name. You will say, which account are you talking about? Right. So that is the confusion it has. So there is no error, but it is not again able to understand which account I am asking for. I am saying show me account type. It is again not clear. I've just connected it to the table now. Table can have 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 accounts as also. It does not know which account am I talking about. Got it? So we have to do one more thing. We have connected it to the table. We have defined which column we are talking about. We also have to define which row we are talking about or which record. So we'll have to give a reference of the account. How will we give that? So go to any account, open the account. Okay. We know that every Salesforce object has a field called ID, right? There's a default ID generated by Salesforce. During our data loader, we learned that, right?
Yeah.
Every object has an ID, unique ID, which is generated by Salesforce. And whenever you open a record, you will see this ID being displayed here in the URL. See this? So like if American Express is the account, this is the ID of that account. What you have to do, you have to take the ID of this account, come to the Visual Force page. After the page name, put a question mark ID equals and paste the ID. Page name, question mark ID equals and paste the ID of the record. Press enter. Now it shows American Express. Now because it knows which record we are talking about, we have supplied the ID in the URL. Got it? So this is how we have to define the connection for a Visual Force page. We have to define which object we are talking about. We have to define which field we want to see. That is something which has been done here. And we have to define which record we are talking about, supplying the ID in the URL. Yeah, someone.
Type it is not showing.
Sorry?
Count type.
Because this record does not have a count type. See, account type is blank here. Let me go and update this. Now if you refresh it, see, okay, so you have to connect it with the object here using the standard controller, which object data you want to display, what all data you want to see, which fields, that comes here in the page as a markup, and which record are we talking about, that goes into the ID. Can you have the microphones on mute, please? A lot of noise. Yeah. So which record we are talking about, that goes into the URL as ID. Clear? That's it. So this is how you connect a page. Sorry.
How did I get that customer direct? See?
That's a type. That's a field in that.
Okay. 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 Yes.
Whatever field you want to display now, you just put the name of the field.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
But we should, before that, we should enter some data in that particular field, is it?
Data to you will have now.
Go
Data.
back to American Express. Their type is empty, right?
No, that it was empty earlier, but now I have populated the value for that.
Okay.
Okay. So some field which will not have value, that will not be displayed. So I just put that value there.
Okay.
So phone and fax, again it's not displaying because the value is not there. Let me take some other account. This account is yes account. So now if I want to use this page for some other record, I'll just need to replace the ID. Now it shows Burlington Textile, type, phone, fax. If you want to put the label also, you can do it like this: name, type, phone,
So
fax.
the code will be applicable for all V1 pages, is it?
It's, you know, this is a template. Yeah, this is a template page. Now this is the dynamic part of it. You change the record ID, the value in the page changes. Okay, this is like a frame. So you just change things here and everything in the page will get changed. So it's a dynamic page.
Is it?
Yeah.
Here, instead of going into the account and giving data there or something like how we have given to type, can we give the type here in the code and try to populate here in the page?
No, see, this page at this point of time, this page is meant for displaying the data, right? It's not taking any input. The moment you start, you learn how to put input, you can put input from here also. Got it? Now it is a one-way
But that option
communication.
is there.
Yeah, that definitely
Okay.
can be done. Okay. Right now this page is a one-way communication. It's only
Yeah.
showing the data. So the moment we learn
Yeah.
how to put, input the data from our side, we can do that as well.
Right.
Hmm?
Right.
Sir, how did we get that object name dot field? I am trying, but I did not get it by default. I mean, we have to enter.
Which one? This one?
Yes, sir.
This is just for your knowledge. This is a syntax. If you want to display data, this is the syntax. Account is the object name, this is the field name.
Yeah. What is this object name dot field name? Oh, you
Syntax,
said like
syntax.
that is a syntax.
Syntax.
Acha, okay.
Nothing else. This is generic syntax. So it should be written in this way. I can delete this. It does not have any significance. Let me delete it.
Okay, sir.
It's fine. My page is okay. I mean, I did not require that. That was just the syntax part.
Okay.
What are the different types of objects we can use here?
Different types of objects means?
You have used account here, right?
Use any
So
object.
what else? we can-
Use any object. Any standard, any
Like-
custom object. Any object like opportunity, cases, leads, XYZ.
Okay.
Fine. Whatever you consultant object, jobs object, something that you have created, something that is already there in Salesforce. Every object. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now let's put one more component here. So we are quite we have designed this thing. Now let's put one more component here. So I display one more field. Now you notice one thing, there are a few HTML tags which we are simultaneously using here, like BR, this is for line break, this is an HTML tag. Let's say the labels I want to put them as bold, so I can make it like this.
So all HTML tags will be
Most of them. Some of them are not supported, but most of the HTML tags can be used. I mean, these generic ones. Sorry.
Can we have multiple objects to the standard controller?
No. Standard controller can have only one object. Fine. So I have used this bold tag which is HTML. So you know all these most of the generic HTML tags can be used here. So Visualforce does not have any special component for making the text bold. So for making it bold, italic, line breaks, paragraph breaks, that sort of things, we can always use our HTML, right? So you guys go through your w3schools.com HTML tutorials, you will find that there are a lot of HTML tags which can be used. I would not suggest you to spend much time on the HTML tags at this point of time, because you would be quite occupied with the Visualforce components itself. But most of those you can use, right? Making headlines, and then these bold paragraph tables, all these things, most of them can be used. All right. Now let me use one more component here. Okay. Inside a page, I use another component which is called a page block. So I start a page block component and end the page block. Do you see what kind of, how the page block looks? Looks like this. Now I can put this entire stuff inside the page block. So now if you put a page block as the name suggests, it's a component which is used for putting a block inside the page. Okay, a rectangular block. Okay, it gives a bit of look and feel to the page. So that is what it is. And there's an attribute for the page block which is called title. So you can also put a title for this block. So title can be as simple as this. See? So this is a static title. You can put a dynamic title as well. Let's say I want the name of the account to be displayed as the title. So I can have that. See? So account name appears as a title. So you don't have to do anything. Inside title you just put that formula, account.name, or whatever you want to display. Correct? So you can have a dynamic title as well. So whichever account you are displaying, that account's name will get displayed here. So we are using another component which is called a page block here. Okay. Inside the page block, if you further want to break it, you can use another component which is called a page block section. Apex page block section. Okay, let's say I want to further break this page into two different sections. So I can do this. Apex page block section. So it's simple, it's actually fun, as good as playing a video game. You're just arranging a few things here and there, and your look and feel on the page keeps on changing. So now what I've done, I have created two sections. If you look into the code, there is a complete page block, and inside that page block there were 5 lines. What I've done, I have put first 3 lines in a section, page block section, and the second 2 lines in another section. Okay. Now page block section also has an attribute which is called title. So if you want to have a title for these 3 lines and one more title for this, you can do that. So it's like creating subsections on the page block. For this I can give a title like general info, and for the other section I can give contact info. See, so 2 sections created inside the page block, and everything is so easy, right? With these components, if you see it, automatically design such a professional looking kind of a page for you. All right. So it's done, created this way. Okay. If you look into this page block section, it is by default collapsible. Okay. So that's a default attribute of a page block section, by default collapsible. Okay. However, if you don't want this to be collapsible, let's say the first page block section, I don't want this to be collapsible, you can just go and define one more attribute. Again, that has to be an attribute of that, collapsible equals false. So the first page block section I have said collapsible equals false. The second one is collapsible. See? Now the first one is not collapsible. Contact info is collapsible. Got it? On this page, if I don't want to see the sidebar, then what should I do? I should go to the page component and say sidebar equals false. Got it? So it gives you a greater control on what data you want to display on a page, the way you want to display it on the page, and what all actions you want to control, what should happen, what should not happen, everything, right? See, this is a page where you are just displaying data. You have not given any save, edit, any button. This is a read-only page that you've designed. Okay, you can have the data displayed the way you want. Everything can be controlled as per your requirement. Clear on this? How we are doing this? The way we have designed. Now let's do the same kind of thing with another object. Okay, the same page, the same thing, same kind of a page I will design for another object. So this time I'm going to take an example of opportunity. So just go to the URL, Apex, change the name of the page this time. It's going to be a different page. So click on create page. This time we'll take an example of standard controller equals opportunity, which means that page gets connected to the opportunity table. Alright. Now I want a page block table. Sorry, I want a page block title, opportunity details. Inside that page block section, for the page block section I give a title, general info, and then here I put name of the opportunity, opportunity dot name. So you have to make sure that you are using the correct object name as well as the field name. If it's not correct, it will throw error. Name, stage name, close date, amount, expected revenue. 5 different fields from opportunity. Okay. I've just used one page block section. I need to use one more. Let's say after this I use page block section. Okay, so my opportunity page is ready. All right, does not show any data. The reason, we have not supplied the ID. So let me go and get the ID of an opportunity. I can go from here. So under this account I have this opportunity. So let me get the ID of an opportunity. After the page name, question mark ID equals, paste the ID. That's it. So
Why
name,
is it in different color?
because of the actual color of the opportunity tab. Remember, when you create a tab for any object and there is a color and icon that you pick. So whatever color is assigned to that particular object, it will come in that color. Got it? So for your standard objects and all, it's predefined, so it will come in that color. Clear? So this is it. This is how simple it is. What we are going to do is, Nikhil, you please copy these two codes, the V1 and the V2, and send it to me. I'm going to send it across to all of you. Please work on this. Okay, it's pretty simple as we saw. We'll talk a little more about standard controller, and we'll try and design a few more examples on this in tomorrow's session. All right. So before that, I just want you guys to do a bit of practice on this and try to understand this code. It's super simple, and there cannot be anything simpler than this. So you will understand all these codes very easily.
Sir, how do I save it and send it, sir? I mean, generally,
Copy. No, you cannot save and send. You just have to copy, put it in the email body, and send it to me.
Okay, I know, but that is some. I mean, if you log out, I'll